you follow your boss. Right? Take note of that. Okay. So next one will be self-enhancement. Here you talk about your personal achievement. One thing is your achievement. Okay, personal success. How you achieve the goal that the company want, and you feel very happy. Right? With the salary increase, and once you achieve, your standard of living also higher. All right. Okay. Hedonism is basically some kind of work pressure, work relationship with people, all right? And you feel that when you work with that person or with the group are all very helpful. You feel very happy. Okay, that is your pleasure, not pressure, pleasure. Pleasure. Okay, that means you feel happy working with them. So Hinduism is very good if the environment that created that you work as a team, everybody come into work, smile and laugh and wishing each other. That will be your internal happiness, right? If you encounter this type of work environment, it's very good for you, right? So in terms of stimulation, self-enhancement, you also want to have some stimulation in your workplace. For example, you work every day, you come in, do the same thing out. There is no what you call the monotonous of a work. Okay, that means you every day do the same thing. You kind of getting bored, all right? So maybe sometime you may want to have some excitement so that make your life, your working life more interesting, right? To the extent not to damage the company, but to grow the company, for example. So company may come out certain policies, certain expectation from you where you say, okay, every day I do this very normal, I don't want. Okay, company will ask you, okay, since you say very normal, I come up with something so they can improve the company profitability. So you see all these things, you feel stimulated, you feel a lot of energy in you, you help the company to work that what you want to achieve, that is also same as company achievement. So in that perspective, you feel very happy because you don't want to do every day very monotonous work, right? So next one is to talk about openness and change. We talk about self-direction, whereby every one of us have his own goal and thought, okay? And you want to further improve yourself, all right? So in this aspect of self-directing, you can be doing something good for the company. You can be upgrading yourself, all right? After upgrading, you have the knowledge, you contribute to the growth of the company, all right? This will help you and help the organization, all right? So next one is universalism. Is basically each and everyone respect each other, the way that we work. But end of the day, you must remember, we are the employee. We are the people of the company. We will follow accordingly. And the action that we do is directed by the management. That's all. Okay. So basically, I cover everything already. Okay. Value and behavior. Habitual behavior usually consistent with value, but conscious behavior less so because the value are abstract construct, right? Okay, what I mean is we human, okay, have a certain value. This value is being inculcated, imbued into you in your family environment. All right. You may imitate your mother, your father way of working, way of living in the house, or you have since young you have a good relationship with your friend, and your friend behavior become like that, and you follow. And when you come out to work, you become, that is what your own personal value is about. All right. So very important is you must understand your value that will translate into your behavior, your conscious behavior. Oh, okay. Decision and mind behavior linked to value when mindful of value, have logical reason to apply value in that situation, and situation does not interfere, right? So it's all on personal, then you adjust yourself to the work environment, then that's where your abstract construct come in. That means your construct of that behavior derived from your value, and that value will link to mindfulness, logical reason, and also situation. You don't care a situation. End of the day, this is the value. This is the way that you do things. You want to do this way, but make sure that it's linked to the company objective. That's all, right? Okay, value congruent at Coal. This is a company, right? They talk about more than 2,300 employees across all levels participate in the focus group around the country. 203 focus group, right? Their objective to identify a set of value for Australia's second largest retailer that will be congruent to their personal value, with their personal value. What I mean here is this company, Coal, okay, they do a research, do an interview of the 203 focus group to find out what is the common set of value, okay? Common set of value of the majority of the employee. So from the major set of the value, from the major set of value that the company discover, okay, and with this so-called discovery, they look at their company, okay, what is their value, the company. So they try to merge it together so that they become a personal value of the employee. That is where we call it value congruent at Coal. All right. Let's take for example now, you now stay in Singapore, you work in Singapore. For example, you stay about 6 months, 1 year, you get used to Singapore life. Okay. One day you go back, maybe 1 year or 1.5 years, you go back. You find that your value, what you learn in Singapore, doesn't match your Indian value. Okay? Then you look at yourself. How come I become like that? Because you are exposed to that environment, your time, okay, and the way that you do the activity is all related to Singapore activity, Singaporean activity. So your mindset has been changed. Okay? Get used to Singapore way of life. Suddenly you go back to India. The Indian way of match these two values to yourself to become a single person where you have the advantage of Indian society value and Singapore society value. So these two merge together, you are more better informed, more better knowledge of merging the two value, so that when you work in the Indian company, right, you know how to appreciate the people that work with you. Right? This is where we have to learn from there. Okay, same as me. Last time I went to US, I also don't understand US citizen. So after staying there 6 months, I know, and I come back to Singapore, I merge the Singapore value and American value together. How I view things is a different perspective altogether after I go there 6 months. All right, take note. So volume value congruent where two or more entities have similar value. Okay. Problem with incongruent is incompatible decision, lower satisfaction and commitment, increased stress and turnover, because your value and my value differently of course, we will fight and quarrel each other. Sometimes you have this we value, you have that value, cannot merge. Then two of us cannot get along. So it's very bad for the company. All right. So benefit of incongruent will be better decision, diverse value, of course. Okay. Enhance problem definition and prevent corporate cult. Right? That means to say it's your own belief. No, we believe in everybody decision. Right? That depends on how your company going to work, how your procedure and policy statement is all about. Okay? Take note. So next one, we talk about individualism and collectivism, right? So this is where individualism, right? We talk about people behavior. Does the people believe in group decision or individual decision? So you look at this so-called country. For example, talk about Chile or Italy. Italy is on the right side and on the high collectivism. That means to say they believe, right? Okay, they want to perform as an individual, and also they make sure that people, majority of people believe in them and they work together. Right. So you look at India. India is somewhere in between. That means to say they believe in individualism or collectivism. Collectivism is group behavior. So you look at this, India is like that. Because you want to make a decision, you ask your boss, ask the people, how is it when I implement this? How do you feel? Is this what you are in India? Right? Oh, take note of that. You must be very clear. Okay. Okay, look at this. All these things are written by who? Written by Hofstede. No? Hofstede is a researcher, Guy Hofstede, in 1970. All right. He surveyed more than 116,000 IBM employees in 40 countries about their work-related value. He found that the manager and the employee varies on 5 value dimensions of national culture. They are listed here. One of them now is individualism and versus collectivism. Individualism is the degree to which people in the country prefer to act as individual rather than member of the group. Collectivism is the equivalent of low individualism. So in India, you are around 60% individualism, around 50% collectivism. That means to say India people make decisions based on their own thinking first before they go out to the group. It's very different strategy altogether. Okay, like Singapore, you see, we are more individualism. Collectivism, we are very low. So Singapore is, as I said last time, Singapore, the way they work is, I take care of myself. I don't care other people. Okay, that is where Singapore attitude is going on since in the 1980s, 70s. Right? We care for ourselves. Right? So India is more care for both individual and collectivism. So you can see that you work in Singapore, how are you going to adjust your environment as an employee, as a person from India come to Singapore and work? Okay? Your personal character is based on both. Okay? You make decision, you seek the group agreement. But Singaporean, no, they make decision, is that person responsibility, that's all. No one want to share with you. It's very different goal. Okay, you think about it. Is it true no, in your Indian culture? Right? Look at this power distance. Okay. So power distance, you can see that the degree that people accept an unequal distribution of power in society. All right. So what happened here? What does it indicate? What does this graph show? It shows that in Malaysia, okay, Malaysia is power crazy. Okay, that means you are a boss. The boss have to be respected everywhere he go. The subordinate have to curry favor him. That is why this is what we call high power distant people. The people are all, they expect the downline, the employee to respect him. If you are a manager, you can authorize, you can have the authority to determine that person future. All right. So Malaysia is like that. Venezuela is second one. Third is Japan. Fourth is USA. And Israel is the lowest. That means to say there is no subordinate. All right. In Israel, that means there is a lateral. That means straight. No manager, no worker. Everybody is the same. Okay, in Israel. But if you look at Malaysia, there is always a department head. Okay. If you look at Japan 50-50. All right. US, they don't bother. You just do your job. I finish. I go back. You go back. So you can see that in terms of respect, okay, I think India will be somewhere around high power distance, higher power. All right. All right. So if you look at US, when I was there, the boss, the name, as you all Indian see the boss, you wish them everything. In US, no. Even last time I was in station there, I met with the director. I work with the director. I don't call him Mister. I call him by name. They don't bother one, right? When they come to make decision, they also don't want to make. All of us sit down together and make the decision. So in Malaysia, if the boss said A, that means you cannot change it. In US, we can propose, hey boss, you say A no good, we can change. Why we need to change? Listen. Israel, no, everybody is their own boss. Okay, so you look at Israel and Malaysia, there's wide difference. And why the economy of Israel, even they have war with the Palestine, with the Middle East country, their economy is still growing. Because everybody share each other. They work, they don't rest, they don't care about power crazy. You are manager, you are so what? We just do our job. Right? But in Malaysia, you are the leader. You don't tell me what to do, I don't do. You see. So there is a lot of difference when you come to a situation in country where they have this high power distance. That means to say, I'm boss, you better get away. You are my worker, you go down to the drain. Same as India, the caste system. I'm upper caste, I cannot marry you as a lower class. Right? So this is why when you have high power distance, the economy tend to fail. For Singapore, it's somewhere in between here, 60-70. Okay, there's give and take. But in Malaysia, no. I'm a boss, I'm always a boss. Right? So you have to consider this very carefully, because end of the day, when you work in a company, after you graduate, you decide to work in another company, not Singapore, other place, you have to look at this. Okay, where is the best place for me to work? What is my character that suit this high power distance? Okay, if you are crazy about power, authority, then you go and work in Malaysia. When you go to India, go back to India, the work is something like Japan like that. So 50-50. Right? Take note. Okay. Uncertainty avoidance. Right? So the degree that people tolerate ambiguity is low, or feel threatened by ambiguity and uncertainty, high uncertainty avoidant. All right. So what he here trying to say is how biased is your company? How political is your company? Where you at the lower level, because of your political or ambiguity, that means direction is not clear. How am I going to carry out the work? So in Greece, Japan, Italy, they are like that. Okay, the boss give you instruction, it's not 100% clear. They give you something like that, you based on your estimate, you go and do the job. When you do the job, you do mistake, then they blame you. Right? But Singapore, you can see, is the lowest. Singapore, we follow by operating procedure, standard operating procedure. Even now in the government sector, we also have all this procedure. The person that sit at the front desk answer to the customer, they have a standard procedure. They tell you, in the procedure, they tell you, okay, you are the front desk executive. How much authority do you have? What are the systems that customer asks you, you have to answer in this way, no other way. So that means you say, you are clear, you are certain that this thing you do will not have any issue. But you talk about Greece, and this, oh, like that, okay, no, you think about it. How are I going to do? Huh? They said, don't know, you go and do yourself first, then see how. And mistake happen, oh, I blame you because, oh, you never consult me. Right? So this is where, if you work in that country, everything changes. Okay? In Japan, to a certain level, yes. Japanese is, if you are Japan to Japan, they will help each other. But you are Japan and foreigner, that's a different story. When you Japan and foreigner, ambiguity will come in already. All right. Oh, Japan say, okay, like, you go and die, like, you do yourself. Okay. So Japan is very race biased. If you are Japanese, we will help you. If you are other people, no. Right. So this is where uncertainty avoidance you must apply. If you work in another country, you think about it, you do research about this thing. Okay? Achievement versus nurturing. Which one is better? Okay. So you can see that achievement, Japan have the highest. Why? All the people are workaholic. They want to achieve something in their life. Right? So the degree of that people value assertiveness, competitiveness, and materialism versus relationship and well-being of others. So you can see that in terms of so-called country, Japan is the highest. Japan go for personal achievement. You achieve higher, you will promote very fast. All right? But in China, 50-50, US 50-50. But Sweden, okay, you know Sweden is the best country to work in. Their so-called happiness survey, Sweden is the highest of all the world. All right. So people here there work, they believe in relationship and well-being of others. They take care of each other, nurture each other, highlight to people that they have fought on this thing, and no so-called negative thing. Okay. In Japan, everybody assert themselves. If you are a manager, you are very powerful. If you are a director, even powerful. Right? You go to Japan, if you are a director, it's very different. People really bend down his head to 90 degrees. If you are just a technician, they don't bend down. They don't even shake hands with you. All right? This is what Japanese is all about. They believe in personal achievement. Right? That's why Japan very high. Oh, okay. Okay, now come to 3 ethical principles. Okay. Greatest goods for the greater number of people. That means utilitarianism is basically a group. Okay, the group achieve better, the group enjoy the benefit. Okay, individual right, that is a fundamental right or fundamental entitlement of society, entitlement of society. That means to say, you born into this world, you have the right, you have the entitlement designed by the society. That is what you're going to benefit. Okay. Distributive justice, people who are similar should receive similar benefit. Okay, this one is a big question because we are all human. Okay, we are different race and different race. We will receive different system. But Singapore believe in meritocracy. So they don't talk about distributive justice. They talk about how well you can perform, how good you are, how qualified you are academically and experiences. Right? So influence of ethical behavior basically talk about morale is degree that the issue demand ethical principles. Depend on your company policy. Right? So your morale of what you've done, exercise in your company depend on how the company want it to be done. Right? So that ethic is developed by your company MD. Okay? Ethical sensitivity, ability to recognize the present and determine the relative importance of an ethical issue. So like in Singapore, we have different races. So you must understand, what the races do, what the races behave in a way. When you deal with them, there's a kind of a set standard that you want to talk to them in according to their ethical sensitivity, right? Situational influences, competitive pressure, and other affect your ethical behavior. Of course, when it comes to competition, sometimes people forget about their ethical value and talk about even their moral value. They all disappear because I want to get the sale. I don't care. By hook and by crook, I want to get the sale. So this is where the situational influences your behavior, your stress level, all these things, and it will affect your ethical and moral value. So what should you do? Then you have to refer back to your boss. Like this supporting ethic in Adolf Kuhl. Long before it was a priority of other firms, Adolf Kuhl developed training program and reward system that explicitly strengthen the ethical value. That means to say, they openly declare what their ethical value is to the public, to the company, staff, to everybody. So when you conduct business, you cannot run away from the ethical value that the company set. This is very good, but in Singapore, in all over the world, not many companies do like that. All right, they do like that is to secure themselves, because in today's world they are very, very competitive in the world. So you can't do this type of this ethical so-called norm in the company. All right, supporting ethical value or ethical behavior. Right, establish the type of standard and procedure, training, and also the officer there will be help the company to counsel people, help them to see at the perspective whether you are wrong or right. Last one is leadership and culture. Demonstrate integrity and role model ethical value, ethical conduct. So the boss must lead by example. The manager must lead by example. If the manager don't lead by example, then the subordinate will not follow. This is the true facts of life. Defining personality, right? So you can see that very important is your personality. Relatively stable pattern of behavior and consistent internal state that explain the personal behavior. So behavior tendency. So this one, in terms of personality, depend on your upbringing, all right, your family environment, and lastly, your company. You work in that company, what is your value? What is your personality in terms of treating people rightly or wrongly, right? So there are many types. Okay, you can see that 5 personality dimension. Okay, you can see it. Okay, so this 5 is a dimension, is they call it consciousness. Okay, consciousness is careful and dependable, but this book, Organization Behavior, they say that consciousness is a dimension of measure of reliability. That means your people can be trusted. All right. A highly conscientious person is responsible and organized, dependable, and persistent. Those who score low on this dimension are easily distracted, disorganized, and unreliable. Okay. So your consciousness people are very, if you are trained to be that way, you are very careful. Your employee are very careful when it comes to business dealing. When it comes to do a job, they do it perfectly. Okay. All right. So next one is agreeableness, courteous and caring. All right. So highly agreeable people are cooperative, warm, okay, trusting. All right. So you must think about caring and warm, courteous. Okay. Neuroticism is anxious and hostile. Okay. You have this, that is employee will be very hot temper, very anxious to get things done. That is no good. All right. So they must follow strictly to the, if a person has this type of character, you must regulate them, chain them into agreeableness or consciousness. Right. Openness to experience. Okay. So this one good in the sense that we are very sensitive, we are very open, but we hear, we talk, very sensitivity. When it comes to decision making, we are also very flexible to our worker, discuss everything so that everybody agree. Okay, we are open to this experience. All right. Next one is extroversion. Okay, it's outgoing and whether you are talkative or not. Right. So based on all these things, you can see that what type of personality you have in your employee or your boss. If your boss are extroversion, you better leave it to him. You always like to show, assertive, sociable, right? They like to talk. Don't argue with him. When you talk, you argue with him, you finish. Right? So this one is Meyer-Briggs, is another one of personality. Okay, the opposite of this. Okay, thinking and feeling, judging and perceiving. Right? You don't go through. Okay, next one. You talk about major personality attribute to influencing the organization behavior. Example like this one. Locus of control, internal belief in their effort and ability. External belief, events are mainly due to external cause. All right. So your belief is what type of belief? Okay. Some people believe that this is their own faith, this is their own way of doing things, then the company can grow. They put in a lot of effort, then they can grow. But some people say that, no. The sales increase, the profit increase because there is an external demand. There is a so-called economy upturn. That's why the company can grow, not because of your effort. Okay, and this is where you have to be careful as a leader, as a worker, right? Another one is talk about self-monitoring personality. Okay. So here they say that sensitivity to situation cue and ability to adapt your behavior to that situation. Okay. This is very good. That means the person that can adjust and fine-tune his personality to suit the environment. Don't expect the environment to suit your personality. Okay, some company, the boss or the manager always like to do this. Oh, this is my personality. Okay, you must all adapt to my style of working, my style of carry out the task, and also the style of my talking to people. Okay, that is no good. Okay, so the leader must be self-monitoring themselves and see, hey, my character, does it meet to that? My personality, does it meet the outcome of the company? If not, I have to change. Okay, take note. Okay, Holland occupational choice theory. Career success depends on fit between the person and environment. Okay, it's true. Okay, but sometimes you are forced to work in that environment, even though you are not fit to that career. Okay, Holland identified 16 represent work environment and personal trait and interests. All right, a person aligned mainly with one team that is highly differentiated. A person have high consistency with preference related to adjacent. Right, so you align to one team that is highly differentiated. That means to say this is the thing that you want to do. Others I don't bother. Okay, that is your preference. Okay. So long-term and short-term orientation in terms of F-stop theory is okay. All right. The degree the people value thrift, saving and persistent versus past, present issue, respect for tradition and fulfilling obligation. Okay. Short-term orientation, you can see US and all this, but long-term is China and Japan. So China and Japan, they are very persistent. That means to say, in terms of doing things, they won't fail. Okay, they will all out to make it successful. But if you look at Philippines and US, short term they fail already, they give up, basically give up. So you can see that this orientation is very hard, very good for China and Japan. That's why China now growing, like the economy is growing. Japan now is recovering. US is very slow, and Philippines is very slow. Right? You can see the people behavior. You will know what is the short term and long term for that country. Okay. Typically, last time US is a lot of grow very fast, but nowadays a lot of geopolitical reason, a lot of internal political reason, then they cannot concentrate on their growth economy. That's why the whole country getting worse and worse. Where China, even the COVID-19, they are progressing, they are adjusting themselves to the growth engine. Same as Japan. Okay, Japan has invested a lot of money to get the economy grow up. Okay. So you can see there is a differential between two countries. All right. And this is where, as a person that you've gone through this roughly, the so-called the organization behavior, you should know where you stand when you go back to India, or you want to go further than Singapore, go Australia, New Zealand, or end up in Canada or US. You must be able to adjust yourself to this organization behavior of that company when you intend to work in that company in foreign country. Okay, take note. So I have finished my lesson. Any question? Hello?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No.
Very boring, right? Huh? Very boring. Want to sleep. Right.
No, sir.
So I will let me hold on a while. I search my my so-called assessment. Okay. Have you all see this assignment? Hello?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
see now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm busy with other things. So I can't, I have to take some off to do my personal thing. So because of this, unit 1 and unit 2 that I gone through with you, I come up with a question. So for the next 3 days, I have 6 questions. One day you do 2 questions. Okay. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Right. So there are 6 questions. Okay. No hurry because you have to do until next week, Monday. Can you submit to me by Monday? Right. All I written here is all relate to what you have, what yesterday and today I gone through with you. I don't want to repeat again. Right. So you know what to do from here. Okay. So there are 6 questions, not difficult. Okay, if you can do this, I think your exam can pass. Oh. Okay, boss. Hello.
Okay, sir.
No problem. So I think Miss Ma will send to you tomorrow.